Shalom and welcome to TGC. We have reaction video number 4 of the PBD podcast recently with the title Religious Roundtable. Let's jump right into it.
Islam. They have worse than the Old Testament. They have something that Muhammad never corrected. So today we have to do jihad. Today we have to kill the apostate. Today we have to kill the person who doesn't pray, even a Muslim. If he stops praying, he should be killed. If he has no excuse, he should be killed according to
I'd
Islam.
like to give them a chance to respond. Daniel, what would you, because the point I think you were making was how that maybe doesn't apply based on what the countries are. And then he makes a good point about saying, but if U.S. eventually becomes majority Muslim, then that could be the criteria that we have to follow in U.S. What's your response?
So Patrick is asking Daniel what his response is to if USA becomes an Islamic majority, thus implementing Sharia. What would it look like, right? So Patrick is asking Daniel a question here.
Response to that.
Yeah, so there are a lot of inaccuracies in what he's talking about. I want to reframe the issue because he's saying that his life is in danger, but the lives of Muslims are in danger under a secular liberal hegemony. And I know that some of the viewers might not be following what I'm discussing, but look at the war on terror, or even look at me personally or Jake. But I say things that are contrary to liberalism. I critique and criticize liberal secularism. What is liberal secularism? It's this philosophy that came out of the Enlightenment, out of the 18th and 19th century in Europe, and it was imposed on the entire globe by force through colonialism, through imperial wars. And the idea of liberal secularism is that morality should not be based on these old books like the Quran and the Bible. We have to use reason and science to maximize individual happiness, individual freedom, and equality. And this is the best system of life. It's an atheistic system of life. We need to have separation of church and state, etc. This is the dominant, I don't want to say religion, but it's a dominant ideology in the world today. And it's imposed through, UN Security Council, international rights law, etc. But it's coming from a very specific philosophy that is anti-religion. It's anti-Islam. It's anti-Christianity, anti-traditional Christianity. I criticize this system, and Muslims who criticize this system are put on watch lists. We're banned from traveling. Some of us are drone striked. Some of us are detained. Some of us face all kinds of canceling, deplatforming. Our livelihoods are threatened. I get death threats all the time. Almost every day I'm getting a death threat because of my opposition to this hegemony, liberal secularism. There is no quote unquote freedom of religion, because if you oppose this hegemony, if you oppose this system, you will be put to death. And I know you've had some very distinguished guests like Glenn Greenwald, Whitney Webb, and they talk about this system. Alex Jones, they talk about this system. They might not put it in the same exact way that I'm putting it, but it is this authoritarian, centralized, technological system. And yes, plenty of people are getting killed. What was the Iraq war about? What was the Afghanistan war about? How many millions of Muslims were killed because of those invasions? What were those invasions justified on the basis of? It wasn't on the basis of the Bible. I wouldn't put that on Christians. I would put it on spreading freedom, spreading democracy, spreading liberal values, and quote unquote women's rights. That's what millions of Muslims in the past 20 years have been killed for, slaughtered, genocided because of this ideology. So yes, Muslims are under threat. Muslims are far more threat than the few Christians here and there that might leave Islam to become Christian.
Go for it.
So let's point out the first obvious thing. Patrick asked him, what does he believe it would look like if Islam became a majority in the U.S., and how would it apply to non-Muslims? And I'm paraphrasing, of course. But did he run away from Patrick's question, or did he shift the goalposts? All he said was that a lot of inaccuracies in what he was talking about the other Christian brother. So he just made a claim and then shifted the goalposts, never answering Patrick's question. And we wonder why. I wonder how big the American audience is that watches the PBD podcast and or valuetainment. So he did not want whatever that percentage of American audience to hear. Or he wanted to play the victim. He wanted to show Muslims as the true victims. So what did he say? Muslims' lives are in danger under a secular liberal hegemony. Now, would that also apply to Christians then? Traditional Christianity, as you stated? Does that only apply to Muslims? Or do you want to make it out that it only applies to Muslims? Muslims being killed by this secular liberal hegemony. And he said, not by Christians, that he would not put this, that he wouldn't put this threat of death to Muslims on the Bible or Christians, Christianity, but that secular liberal hegemony. Now, if that what he claims is true, and this is for me, I don't want to get into politics, but I do agree, and I always tell people when I do talk about politics, because I want to stick with the Holy Bible. Yes, liberalism is a mental disorder. It is cancer to society. So I agree with him that. And Christians, nominal Christians, need to grow a backbone. Christian men need to grow up and be men, because they are destroying society, whether it's here, another country, on the other side of the world. It's true, but that's a different topic. So, if Muslims are in that dire this dire threat of being killed in genocide, as he said, and we know about this genocide of Christians in Islamic nations, where's his outcry for that? He said he wants to see the growth of traditional Christianity because that's better than the secular liberal hegemony. But then again, what is their end times prophecy? What will happen to the pig, the cross, and the jizya? Patrick asked, who is the enemy of Islam? And I plan on do another video, another reaction on that alone, but I'll just give you a preview. The enemy of Islam is Christianity and the Jews. And we will show that in that reaction video. Not a problem. So if these Christians that are in Islamic nations are being persecuted and genocide by Muslims, how is Islam any better than this secular liberal hegemony? Answer me that. Where's the religious freedom? Where's the freedom of Christians to live peacefully without fear? Because we know what goes on in those Islamic countries. So let's just give it a quick look, why don't we?
Там было очень опасно, и кто смог, с чем смог, всех вытащили. И в КамАЗе, автобусах, в легковых машинах, кто с чем мог. Мы отправились в ангар, там в подвалы в Степанакерте. Там тоже повсюду стреляли, не успокоились ни на 5 минут, постоянно стреляли. Да, мы даже не смогли выйти из подвала, потому что было опасно. В любой момент можно было умереть. Не знаем с нами, что будет дальше. И какие планы на нас. Вернуться нет никакого шанса. Если бы были шансы вернуться, мы бы оттуда не вышли. Там небезопасно.
Я уже никогда не вернусь. Никогда в жизни. Погибших даже не разрешали их, чтобы вывезли. Сейчас многие там.
Да, мы, когда эвакуировали детей, были там бомбоубежище место есть, чтобы детей было безопасно. Потом мы уехали в Степанакерт, и снова домой мы смогли приехать.
И вы уехали из Степанакерта?
Да. Есть люди, которые со своих КамАЗов отвезли нас сюда. В каждом КамАЗе был 20 или 30 человек и 10-15 детей.
Армения уже почти нету. Руководства нету. Дебили они все. Если они историю знали, так нельзя. Историю про геноцид, историю нашей истории, если знали, Карабах армянский. Никогда наша деревня не была азербайджанцы, не были. Значит, нет дебиль. Если историю знал, так не сделал.
Now the ethnic cleansing of Armenians of Nagorno-Karabakh is underway, so that's happening just now, and that is a very unfortunate fact because we were trying to urge international community on that.
Ancaq Qarabağda yaşayan erməni əhalisinin Azərbaycan cəmiyyətinə inteqrasiya prosesi, süreci əminəm ki, uğurla gedəcək.
Son zaferle birlikte bölgede kapsamlı bir normalleşme için yeni fırsat pencereleri açılmıştır. Bu fırsatın değerlendirilmesi gerektiğine inanıyorum. Ermenistan'ın kendisine uzatılan barış elini tutmasını ve artık samimi adımlar atmasını bekliyoruz.
This is a picture right here from the Turkish news of There's the Turkish soldier, there's a Pakistani soldier, and they're doing training together because they have a Islamic alliance to get rid of the Christians, guys. I know nobody likes to say that, but this is really the stated goal. So my fear has always been for the rest of Armenia, because this guy right here, Ilham Aliyev, is the dictator of Azerbaijan, and he's works for and with Tayyip Erdogan, the dictator of Turkey. And here he is saying that now that we've resolved this Karabakh issue, meaning that now we've gone into that country, we're ethnically cleansing all of the people, and that's what they're using. They're actually saying that in their news. We're cleaning out the remainders of the Armenian occupiers. That is exactly the terms they're using. And so we're cleansing out village to village, and we're liberating the lands from the terrorist. And they call them Armenian gangs, is what they're doing. Now he's saying that this has been resolved. The issue on their agenda is what? This. They want to jointly develop the returning of Western Azerbaijan. What is Western Azerbaijan, friends? Western Azerbaijan is this. His first goal is this region right here. It's called, in their language, they call it Zangezur province. It's Syunik province in Armenia. And that is their next plan and their next goal. So here they are talking about this recently. And now in the Turkish and Azeri news, this is what they're saying right now, is that that there's preparations for war in that province. It says that Iran and Armenia are making war supplies to get ready for the war. This is in their news. All right. So what they're saying is that they are going to be the aggressors against Azerbaijan and Turkey, Iran and Armenia. And the area, again, in dispute is this right here. See, it says Zangezur corridor. And this is what they want. And to be honest, they call all of Armenia Western Azerbaijan. And they say the capital of Western Azerbaijan is Yerevan, which is right here. That's the capital that I live in with my family. And down here in Zangezur, or Syunik, is where I have with partners, we have a language school, and I go down here about every 10 days. And this is the region that they want to take over. And just so you can see some of the areas, it's right there on the border of Iran. Beautiful.
So that's Armenia. So what else do we have?
On the 11th of August, Pakistan celebrated its National Day of Minorities. Now, on paper, it was a celebration of brotherhood and tolerance in Pakistani society. But in reality, it was yet another day of brutality against minorities, once again in the name of blasphemy. And in case you are wondering how Pakistan does that, let me show you. Have a look at these images. This is how Pakistan is uplifting its minorities. These visuals are from the city of Faisalabad in Pakistan's Punjab province. So what exactly are Pakistani authorities doing about this is the immediate question. Are they doing anything at all, in fact? But you see, that is hoping for too much in today's weak, insecure, and radicalized Pakistan.
So we saw what's happening today in Armenia. We saw what happened about a month ago here in Pakistan. And, you know, it wasn't that long ago, but I'm sure many has already forgotten this.
We now shift our focus to Nigeria, where a woman has been beaten to death and set on fire on college premises. She was a student in this college. Her killers were her own classmates. What was her crime? Blasphemy. Her classmates accused her of insulting Prophet Muhammad, and so they killed her. This incident has shocked the world, but in Nigeria, killing in the name of blasphemy has been taking place for far too long, especially in the country's north. Our next report highlights the deep religious tension in Africa's most populous country.
Nigeria, Africa's most populous nation, is once again in the news for the wrong reasons. A female student was beaten mercilessly and then set on fire by fellow students.
Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar!
This video has gone viral with the hashtag Justice for Deborah. The footage shows a group of youngsters attacking her. What was her fault? It is alleged that she had posted blasphemous statements about Prophet Muhammad in a WhatsApp group.
It all started within a WhatsApp group, and things escalated because many of the students assumed or were a bit offended by the comments by Deborah for accusing them or blaming them for spreading their religious beliefs.
The incident took place in Nigeria's northwestern state of Sokoto. The victim has been identified as Deborah Samuel. She was a student of Shehu Shagari College of Education. The students were upset over her comments. The incident has sent shockwaves across the African nation, forcing police to arrest 2 suspects in connection with the murder. And the local administration has assured that all those involved in the crime would be arrested. An online petition has been launched seeking punishment for the killers. Sokoto is among a dozen northern states of Nigeria, where Sharia is in operation. What's disturbing is that this is not the first such incident in Nigeria. Cases of vigilantism and people being jailed for blasphemy keep happening periodically. In most cases, those accused of blasphemy are from the minority community. Last September, a Christian leader was killed by a mob. In January, a Nigerian court threw out 2 blasphemy convictions, freeing a teenager who was facing a 10-year prison sentence. In August 2020, a Nigerian singer was sentenced to death for sharing what was considered a blasphemous song on WhatsApp. And it's not just armed vigilantism that is worrying. Terror groups like Boko Haram frequently attack villages and kill civilians based on their beliefs. In Nigeria, Muslims constitute 53% of the population and Christians 46%. Despite this religious diversity, Nigerians remain vulnerable to sectarian persecution.
WION is now
Right. So let us not forget what Daniel said. He said, of all this death being bombed, droned, massacred, genocide, by who did he say it was from? The secular, liberal hegemony. That he would not put this blame on the Bible or the Christians. Because Christians, let's be real here, Islam blasphemes our Bible and our Messiah Jesus. They do it constantly. Do we go around killing them? Do we go around beating them? Who is truly the religion of peace? It's one thing to go around proclaiming yourself as a peaceful religion, but we all know talk is cheap. Anyone can talk the talk, but it's a different ball game when you step into that batter's box. You got to walk the walk. Time and time and time again, day in and day out, they constantly fail. Call it for what it is. You'll know them by their fruit. So, knowing that our brothers and sisters in Messiah Jesus, our fellow Christian brothers and sisters in Islamic lands, are being persecuted, being beaten, stoned, and set on fire. Their churches being set on fire, their homes being set on fire, they're being killed. And for what? For being a religious minority who will not succumb to, let's call it for what it is. Our Bible, our scripture teaches us that Islam is the antichrist beast system. Now, we know that we are wiser than that, right? We don't take the word of every Hashem, Mansour, Mohammed, but let's look at this in a reasonably, logically, in a rationally way. Let's not forget, he would not put this danger of Islamic life onto the Bible or Christians. He would put it on non-religious people. So are these Muslims targeting non-religious people, or are they targeting people of the book? Right? But no one stands up to them. Right? We just, we take it. And why is that? Because this secular liberal hegemony, especially in the Western culture, has manufactured weak men, whether they're religious or not. But the religious brothers have been, how do I say this? They've been conditioned to be weak. And it all started long time ago, 40s, 50s. They took the Bible out of the schools, and that was the fall. That was when the ambulance started, and we find ourselves in this position now. So we have two enemies, right? Because we know the worldly ways are evil, and Islam is the enemy of the Holy Bible scriptures. it teaches us Islam is the antichrist beast system. So let us just look at a few scriptures. Revelation 13, starting at verse 1. Then I stood on the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rising out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his thrones 10 crowns, and on his heads a blasphemous name. Blasphemous name. Now the beast which I saw was like a leopard. His feet were like the feet of a bear, and his mouth like the mouth of a lion. The dragon gave him his power, his throne, and great authority. Now, is that not what he tempted Messiah Jesus with? So he had to find someone else, didn't he? So who else came after our Messiah Jesus? And I saw one of his heads, as if it had been mortally wounded, and his deadly wound was healed. This right here, verse 3, and I saw one of his heads as if it had been mortally wounded, was the fall of the Ottoman Empire. And Turkey's goal is to revive the Ottoman Empire. And when the revised Ottoman Empire, which will be the Caliphate, will be his deadly wound was healed. When the Ottoman Empire fell, they were known as the sick man of Europe. This is why the Muslim Brotherhood was formed. Their whole goal of them being formed was to bring back the Ottoman Empire, the Caliphate. So when the Ottoman Empire revives, we definitely will not have much time left. And when his deadly wound is healed, and all the world marveled and followed the beast, they want to keep bragging about more and more people reverting back to Islam, because more and more people are going to be will marvel and follow this beast, this antichrist beast system. So they worship the dragon. Who are they worshiping? They worship Allah. And if you are familiar with my videos, and if you're not, I suggest you go back and watch them. Proven Islam is the antichrist beast system. Proven Allah is not the God found in the Bible, the Holy Scriptures, the one true book, the Holy Bible. Allah is not the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But who is going to marvel and make war? They will marvel and follow the beast. So they worship the dragon who gave authority to the beast. And they worship the beast. Saying, who is like the beast? Who is able to make war with him? Why? They brag about it. If you blaspheme our prophet, we're going to kill you. We're going to attack you. We see Pakistan burning bunch of Bibles, defiling Bibles, But if anyone threatens to burn a Quran, it's an international uproar. Because who is able to make war with this antichrist beast system? Everything that they can do to Christianity, our Bible, to the Jews, no problem. But in any of them, but if it's reverse, they cry. It's such an outcry. It's oh, we're the victims. They're Islamic phobes. There's no tolerance for Muslims, for Islam. They play the victim quick, fast, and a hurry, in the flip of a dime. So you see who we're dealing with. So if you blaspheme, if you just say something bad that they claim is blasphemy, you just need one in the group to cry out, oh, he's blaspheming our prophet. They're all going to follow. What happens next? So in Pakistan, we saw that one Christian family was suspected of committing blasphemy against Muhammad. One Christian family. Go back, watch it. Go look for other videos. If you want to watch these videos that I showed, I will place links to all of them in the description box. It said that there was a family who was suspected of committing blasphemy against Muhammad. So why did they not just deal with that family? Why did they go around threatening and beating all the Christians in the town? Why did they go to the churches and start burning the churches? Because they look for any little excuse. It's not a firecracker. It's dynamite with a short fuse. Looking for any excuse to rampage those who are not of their belief, of their way of life. Yet we see Muslims, let's say Daniel, for example, since he's on the PBD podcast, doesn't even answer Patrick's question, but turns it around because he doesn't want to be truthful and give his belief what will happen to the U.S. if Islam becomes majority and Sharia law goes into effect. But he turns it around. I want to reframe this conversation, as he said, and show how the Muslims are being persecuted, yet not by another religious group, but by secular liberal hegemony. Yet, although he can admit he cannot put this blame on the Bible or Christians, yet Muslims have no problem persecuting, beating, burning down churches, killing, committing genocide of Christians inside their Islamic nations. Muslims, just remember this. If a Muslim goes into a non-Islamic country and that country says, hey, we are a Christian nation, so we don't allow other religions to propagate themselves in our land. Sure, no problem. You can be here, practice what you do, but we don't spread any other religion other than what we are. Just like the Islamic nations do, right? Just the same thing they do. If a Christian nation goes, we're going to apply, it's a great idea that they have. They don't allow Christians to come in and preach their gospel, their religion, and convert people to their faith. We are an Islamic nation, so we're going to outlaw any of that. But yeah, you can come in, no problem. Stay to yourself. Don't flaunt it. Everything will be cool. But if a Christian nation said that, or let's just say any nation, to Muslims who want to perform dawah, in Islamic law, that is legal grounds to fight that nation, to commit jihad against that nation, because they consider that persecution for not allowing them to perform dawah. They're hypocrites. Everything's backwards. Just like what we just saw in these in these videos. Everything's upside down, backwards. And we're just looking at this reasonably, logically, and rationally, because we hear many different stories from different Muslims. And we don't, like I said, we don't take to face value of anything that any Hashem, Mansour, or Muhammad may say, because they dodge questions, just like we saw Daniel did, dishonoring the host of the podcast, blew him off, did not want to give him the correct answer, because we know Patrick loves living in America because it gives you a lot of opportunities. So Muslims, or let's just say Islam, let's get this wording correctly. Islam teaches that if you blaspheme their prophet, you go put to death, right? Because you cannot say anything bad toward the beast, because who is like the beast? Who is able to make war with him, right? Islam is the antichrist beast system. But what does the real prophet say? The last prophet, the one true last prophet that God sent to mankind, the one true messenger that God sent to mankind, our Messiah Jesus. What does he say about if people say anything bad about him or acts bad regarding him, right? What does he tell us? John 15, if the world hates you, you know that it hated me before it hated you. If you were of the world would love its own. Yet because you are not of the world, but I chose you out of the world, therefore the world hates you. Is it obvious that Islam hates the Christians and the Jews? It's obvious. Why are they not killing secular, liberal hegemonies, but they're killing Christians at any chance possible? Remember the word that I said to you, a servant is not greater than his master. If they persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they kept my word, they will keep yours also. So I thought they loved Jesus and reference him so greatly, but he tells us, if they persecuted me, which we know they did, and they try to deny it, they will also persecute you. Who is being persecuted? Is it really the Muslims who are being persecuted, or is it the Christians? Do not believe the lies. But all these things they will do to you for my name's sake. He's prophesizing here. And this prophecy is, we're living this prophecy out right now because they do not know him who sent me. And why do they not know him who sent him? Because they do not follow the God found in the Bible, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They follow the beast. And Islam is that antichrist beast system. If I had not come and spoken to you, they would have no sin. But now they have no excuse for their sin. They're going to have no excuse for when he returns, when he executes and repeats the first Exodus at the greater second Exodus. Jake brought up 1 Samuel 15, right? About God ordering the vengeance upon Amalek. It's there. He put the history in there so that we will know the end from the beginning. Muslims know, because if you watch Speaker Corner videos, one of the things that they like to do, and especially that Muslim guy, our usual suspect, Hashim, he likes to bring up those scriptures to say, you say Jesus is so loving that he's love and love and love. God is love. God is love. And you believe he's the God of the Old Testament, then why did he command his people to kill all these people? It's teaching us biblical history is biblical prophecy. And when he returns, these Muslims, they do know that Jesus of the Bible, our Messiah, when he returns, he is prophesied to fight. So the Exodus from Egypt is going to repeat itself on the grounder scale, a much grounder scale during the second greater Exodus. It's littered throughout the Bible. He who hates me hates my Father also. If I had not done among them the works which no one else did, no one else, nor did anyone else after him, they would have no sin. But now they have sinned and also hated both me and my Father. But this happened that the word might be fulfilled, which is written in their law. They hated me without a cause. So you have a religion who claims is a religion of peace, but it's a forked tongue. One side of the mouth, they tell you they are a religion of peace, but on the other side, they're killing our brothers and sisters because they follow Messiah Jesus. And he tells us, he warns us, he prophesizes that what they did to him, they're going to do to us. If they persecuted him, they're going to persecute us, those who follow him. He doesn't order anyone to kill people. And if you want to know, my first reaction video to this podcast is titled something like, let's just look at it real quick then. This video right here, Truth About Law of Apostasy, and how it proves Islam false. You want to know the truth about the law of apostasy that we know in our Bible? Take a look at it. It's an hour 56. Yes, it's long, but I guarantee you, you're going to come out with a clearer understanding of our Bible. Guaranteed. And you'll understand why it does not apply anymore and how it proves Islam false. No doubt. So what do we take from here? Those who cry wolf are usually the ones. Here it is. Truth about law of apostasy. Speaker's Corner. So what do we take from this? Those who usually cry wolf are the ones you got to watch out for. Those who always want to play the victim are usually the ones who make victims. So I thank you for listening. And all praise and glory goes to the one true God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. May he comfort you and bless you. Shalom.